Hey there, friends. Welcome to Hawkeye Speaks. Today, as promised, I will tell you a little bit about how I've trained these cats to go on hikes and why it's an awesome idea. And it also is probably not a great idea for many people because there are dangers to it. Of course, you don't want to lose your cats out there. And yeah, that's the bulk of it. You don't want to lose your cats out there. And there are, if you don't have the time to build a solid relationship with them also, if you work all the time and the cats themselves are very independent, then, it may not be an option that you can get to the point where you can take your cats hiking. But what I can tell you is that the relationship between you and your pets it's a relationship. Just like any relationship and all relationships, which is basically every interaction we have with any other living being in this life. It's all relationships. And all relationships are based on a mutual reciprocity. That in itself, that equal exchange, or maybe it's not always equal if you're the parent. That exchange is how trust is built. Trust is the foundation of all relationships. So that's the first thing. You have to build up the trust, and of course, these pets, they need to feel safe and secure with you. Just like raising children, same thing. You can only have as much freedom to teach and guide them in a parental way as you have trust with them, as they trust you. So, the relationship has got to be built on trust. And number one, it starts with caring. It starts with caring for each other. I mean, they will fulfill their end of the deal so much as you fulfill yours. And cats can be very, very fulfilling. Not only in that they take care of the rodents, but they can take care of your emotional needs as well, of course. That's why we have pets. And cats are extremely emotionally intelligent. I would say they have the emotional intelligence of an average adult human being. Dogs are a little less emotionally smart in a way, but they're right up there too. To me, they have the emotional intelligence of an adolescent. But the cats are very clever. And, there's many things that cats are known for that are bad behaviors. But I found that when you build up these solid relationships with them, they don't seem to do any of them. They don't seem to knock anything over. They don't seem to scratch anything important. They don't seem to spray or pee in places. Poop in the house, do anything. They do bring some of their prey into the house, but they do that because they like to eat it there, more so than be a problem. If they just leave it on your pillow, that's really not desirable. Alright, but in any case, one thing that I want to say about this, before we move on, about this caring and the building of trust, is that all organisms desire to be recognized. Every action that is taken by a living organism, it wants to be recognized in nature. It's kind of how this mutual reciprocity works within the larger system of nature. And what I found is that the cats in particular, they very much appreciate when you recognize their actions. You see them. You don't have to give them a trophy. You don't have to coddle them. But if you're not paying attention at all, if we're just on our screens or facing the book or whatever, we're not present to notice what's going on, then we miss cues all the time. Just like right now, I need to be present of where these kitties are at every moment. While I'm out here, we are a good quarter mile away from the house, and I'm not going to let my eyes off of them. You're not going to be able to see them with the camera the whole time. but I need to pay attention to them at every moment. And the bigger ones, I only need to check in with every few minutes. So, we have to know what these boundaries are. And in the ideal parenting situation, we're more mature than our children, hopefully. And you can, if you're available, always be one step ahead of their needs. You can always kind of anticipate what they're going to need next. Oh, they're going to need to eat. They're going to need to go outside. They're going to need to rest now. And it's not that tough if you can just be tuned in. That's really key. And like I say, what I've noticed becoming a cat owner and raising up some kittens here, a couple on the second batch now, what I've found is that these particular organisms, these beings, including the dog of course, they very much want to be recognized for their actions. And they don't need attention all the time. They can in fact go very long periods of just chilling by themselves. But they very much like to be recognized for actions. And that is how we support good actions, or actions that we want to see happen, instead of bad behaviors, because just think about it, same thing with a child. If the child is not getting attention and getting kind of validation for what is good behavior, then bad behavior can become habitual. Okay, that's the sound that I used to call the cats, I'm sure you're familiar with it. That's pretty much it for how I call them. I don't bring treats with me on these walks. The way that we started off doing this is just staying close to home, just going out of the driveway, or even not all the way out the driveway. It was all about giving them time and working with their pace, and not saying, oh, this is time to go. And especially I found when I take them on hikes up in the mountains, it's not even necessarily possible to say, oh, get back in the car right now, especially with Brains, the boy. And I've thought about trying to get him on a leash before we get back to the car, but the harness and leash is just not good out in the forest. I've tried it, and really disables the freedom, the whole kind of part of the purpose of the entire thing. So it may not be possible with all cats to go get back to the car from a hike in the mountains and say, hop in the car. You may have to wait several hours. I've done it now more times in my little RV than anything else. And with that, I have the possibility of being able to just chill out and wait all night if I have to for him to want to get back in the car. So the kitties are moving off a little bit here, so I'm going to have to follow them. Okay. All right, so building up this trust, mutual reciprocity, a caring relationship. All right, what comes after that is establishing the alpha situation. Who's the alpha? This is, if any of you are dog owners, you'll be familiar with this picture, or hopefully you're familiar, of how you want to be the alpha, not let the dog think that they're the alpha. And there's certain things that you do. You can not let them eat first, or not let them go through a door first, make them wait. Certain small things like that. And it's good. If you're not familiar with some of this real basic stuff on how to train a dog, it's rewarding to learn, I would say, and it is effective. So you want to be the alpha. And so I won't say too much about that, except that the way that I really build up trust and the alpha position in this relationship is that I'm the caregiver, and these pets know it very well. They like the food that I provide for them, and the way that I distribute it. I mean, some of them, Mama cat might not like it sometimes. She's always hungry when she's nursing. But we have a pecking order established where the leaders eat last, basically. The kittens will eat first, and Dinga, myself, will eat the last. Brains, the boy cat, I've trained him to not put his giant head right in the bowl at once, and to step off to the side by giving him his own individual bites. Okay, so that brings me to, what do I feed them? I feed these cats predominantly raw meat. Raw steak not organic. The prices are through the roof. And if I was doing my own butchering, that would solve the problem there. But I just feed them the whatever I can get that's pretty cheap, in the $2 to $4 a pound range. I can get brisket for $2 a pound, and shank steaks, ribs. Ribs are great for making beef broth, and then I make broths as well with chicken bones and beef bones, and then make stew. That's what I used to feed the puppy. So I have some experience doing this for the last 6 years, feeding her no kibble ever. No, not a single bit of kibble. And she gets a bite here and there. I imagine it at other people's houses, but for the most part, we've done only the stew for years, with some raw meat and some other, eggs and tuna and sardines and stuff like that, which is another thing that I do feed the cats. We eat eggs, and I generally scramble the eggs, but they'll eat them raw too. They don't mind them raw, but you can mix in either scrambled up a bit or just mixed up raw. You can mix tuna into that, and they do enjoy that quite a bit. And another trick, as soon as as we're talking about the food, is don't overfeed. Do not overfeed your pets. Make sure, or yourself either. Fasting is an art to be learned, and it is painful at first. In a way, it's difficult, but it is very rewarding, and your health will be benefited tremendously from practicing the intermittent fasting, which is just spacing out the meals. The cats, just like us, they will eat first thing in the morning and late at night. They'll eat 3 times a day, but they absolutely do not need to. They, really most mammals would be fine with a good high protein, high fat meal once a day. But of course, you want to give them good loving and give them snacks as they kind of desire. And then, so I'll tell you, friends, thanks for watching. That is really the bulk of it, is that all relationships are based on this mutual reciprocity of caring. If you're in the parental role, you should be able to kind of anticipate their needs beforehand, and you build up the trust. Cats are very aloof because they're protective of themselves, and they will just kind of live their own lives and do their own thing so that they know that they're safe and their emotional needs are met as well. But they can also be extremely sweet and affectionate, wonderful snugglers, and wonderful just being attentive to your emotional needs as well. Just something about the dog. The dog, I don't know about other dogs, but this dog clearly reads my mind. Because if I think negative thoughts or have like a real crappy thought going on in my head, the dog will come up to me and start giving me some affection. I've not verbalized in any way, but it's happened so many times that I absolutely know that she can read my mind. What a trip. And it's kind of just, when you think about it, it's rather obvious that is how animals generally communicate, and potentially how animals and plants also communicate with each other, as Monica Gagliano suggests in her book, Thus Spoke the Plant. All right, so mutual reciprocity of the caring, you're always able to anticipate their needs before, they become something that they cry about. And then you establish yourself as the alpha with the food, and then with the... There's times when you really need to nip some bad behaviors in the bud, okay? And of course you don't hit your animals, but you do need to be forceful with them at times, and you can only be as forceful with any animal as you have the trust built up between you. So if the big boy cat is doing inappropriate behavior, you may need to be quite forceful with him. But of course, you don't want to just disrupt your trust. It should, and it is possible to actually build up more trust between the two of you by taking some corrective actions. Okay? So, right, you don't beat the dog, you don't beat the little kitties, for gosh sakes, but you do have to keep an eye on bad behaviors. Okay, and that, so the food and the corrective action, that's being the parent and the alpha in the situation. And then again, thirdly, it's how to take your pets on a hike is just building up a little bit at a time. I'm really benefited by just having no one around out here. I can walk in this open space. We're walking out closer to the trees over there, 2 miles away. Sometimes we go straight west out that way. But as I've tried to take them hiking, and I have taken them up in the mountains a few times now, they're not so much into the trail. It takes them a long time to get comfortable, and if there's other hikers and stuff going on, they're going to hide from those hikers and hide from bikers and stuff for a long time, potentially. The dogs, they run up a tree, and then you got to get them out of the tree. So if any of you do live out in the Southwest, or you actually have this giant type of open space around you, it's much more of a potential, I think, than for other folks that are probably going to want to keep their cat on a leash, which is cool too. It's cool to have a good relationship with your cats, whether you can take them walking or not. And I'll leave it with that, friends. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching my channel. Hope you enjoyed the talk today. Hawkeye Speaks.